You've reached the end of, hopefully, an inspiring day. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we be the connective tissue to help you move from that inspiration, hopefully, to action. I was out with an old college buddy of mine at the weekend, and we were talking about, what we're all doing in our careers. We haven't seen each other in a while. And I was telling him that I've started a story about search and all of the amazing things that were happening in search. And he turned around to me and said, God, I can't believe you guys are still working on search. Surely that's all done. Well, hopefully after today, you'll agree with me that it's far from done. And at Google, we certainly think that that journey has a long, long way to go. I certainly today learned a few new things. Who knew that you could search online for an orchestra and then make it happen through Google Hangouts? Or that you could search online for the open source plans for a furnace to stick on the front of your boat. Not something I think I'll try anytime soon, despite being an avid sailor. But how about you? Did you learn something new today? Hands up. Shout out a few ideas. What did you learn? What surprised you out of today? Benjamin, I'm going to pick on you because you're in the front row. What did you learn today? A balance between speed and aesthetics that's important for a marketeer to understand. Anybody else? Just shout out a couple more ideas of what's the inspiration you're going to take away from today? Rob.
Emotional intelligence, you can actually outperform somebody with a high IQ if you've got a high EQ.
Emotional intelligence can help you outperform high IQs if you combine it with a high EQ. Remember, important for you particularly. So I remember Tazeen said that IQ plus EQ equals success. Who else? Any other things that you're going to take away? Yeah. The growing importance of digital assistants, absolutely. We're just kind of right at the very beginning of a new paradigm when it comes to search and helping people turn their inspiration into action. Now, I think if you're in this room, your job is about helping your customers be inspired and then turning that inspiration into action. And when you are on that journey, every little detail counts. And we heard from a number of the speakers today about the importance of mobile. We came out as a company in 2010 and said we were going to be a mobile-first company. And we've obsessed about everything to do with mobile and mobile experience. And you will have heard today about the importance of not just showing up on mobile, but about getting the basics right for your customers. And one of those most important basics is speed. So from the research that we did across 100 of the top retail, travel, and finance sites across Western Europe, we found that the average load times were around the 5-second mark. Jason talked about the research we did across 900,000 sites, where it starts to look more like 22 seconds. But going back to that 100 and the 5-second load time, we took a cohort and we worked with them to improve their load times. And a 1-second improvement was able to give a 27% improvement in conversions. Over 30% reduction in bounce rates. Now, I've been in this business since 2005, and pretty much for every one of those last 12 years, every time I talk to a customer, we're trying to eke out single-digit percentages in improvements in conversion rates. Here is the low-hanging fruit that can, with some effort, get you a huge leap forward in your conversion rates. And we know that with every successful interaction that a consumer has with your site, their expectation goes up. So if you're not continuously improving that experience, you're starting to fall behind what your consumers' expectations are. So if we're being seen on mobile and if we're speeding up that experience, we then talked about how we can be smarter, how we can start to embrace machine learning to take advantage of the massive data streams that are left behind on every interaction, where we can start to treat every single customer as an individual. and where we can make sure that every interaction they have with us makes us smarter for their next interaction, where we can start to use machine learning to uncover some of the emotional traits and experiences that they have with our brand and with our service. So embracing machine learning, once we've got those basics right, to help individualize that experience even further. And then we talked about how you can use digital to take more of the friction out of the experience, out of that transition from inspiration through to action. My favorite story of the day was from Hilton Hotels and how they mapped out the entire customer journey, including the offline part, and reimagined it using digital technology. How they have used that reduction in friction to increase preference for their brand. And then we started to talk about the world of assistive technologies. And the importance of where assistance is going to go next was really brought home to me at the weekend when my 7-year-old daughter asked me to draw a panda. And after my second attempt, she got frustrated, grabbed my phone, unlocked it, hit the microphone button, and said, "How to draw a panda." Slammed the phone down in front of me and said, "There you go, Dad, do that." I can now draw a pretty good panda. But assistive technologies are going to become increasingly a part of how we interact. You know, how we close that loop between inspiration and action is increasingly going to be through a voice command. So how are we going to start getting ourselves ready? Once we've got the mobile basics right, we've started to embrace machine learning to penetrate the data streams that we're creating and get ourselves ready for an assistive world where every interaction has to be the perfect interaction and exceed the expectations of our consumers. So I think what I took away from today is there's a lot more to learn. You know, certainly the journey of search is far from over. And we want to be on that journey with you. I think we've got a lot to learn together. It's about teaching our consumers, teaching each other, and learning what are the new technologies that are going to be coming down the pipeline in the years to come. We're doing a lot of work in the area of skills as well. We have launched an initiative to take digital skills training, 5 hours of digital skills training to everybody in the UK. We've already trained hundreds of thousands of people across the UK. We're going to 100 locations around the country to work with businesses face-to-face, taking them through workshops and helping them get some of these best practices incorporated into what they do. And we've also just opened up the Digital Academy, a 40,000 square foot space down in Victoria, which is about working with our partners on the next wave of skills and the next wave of technology and the next wave of inspiration. So I'll leave it there. I hope we have succeeded in inspiring you today. Remember that we're here to be your partners, to help ease that friction as you go back to the office and think about how you're going to take today's inspiration and turn it into action. Thank you very much.